Oi, 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 and good evening, at least in my world. Today it's only me again. No Manu. But I got tea. That always helps my sorrow. Manu, this is for you. Typical Chinese greeting, by the way, to hold it underneath and then you do a toast. Today I'm drinking Yunnan black tea again. Back in black, so to say. Ha ha ha. And before my flat jokes become even worse, I better get started. Today I will make a reaction video, a PR review. Manu did a PR and he asked for my opinion. Yeah, I'm surprised. He's so bold. So let's get into the fun. What he did do in this PR is he did implement the unit tests. And I want to take a look at it, how he did it, because unit tests are a bit a delicate topic. You can screw it up in multiple ways. Python is a bit more forgiving than compiled languages, where it can be a little bit much more delicate actually to write unit tests. Depends a bit on the language, but it can be quite delicate. But yes, so most important thing, of course, is to check first what the person wrote again. Today I'll pack out a bit the toxic reviewer, so you get a bit of feeling how it is if someone reviews your code and is insane just for the sake of it. So let's see. A few unit tests to start things off. Main focus is on how to work with GitHub secrets for the API key. I think if I would be a toxic person, I would send him a bomb package after this one. Maybe a bit too harsh, but like, what the hell is an API key doing in your unit tests? Like, what the hell? This is not supposed to. No. You did this on purpose to me, to get my blood pressure again to 200 or something. I don't know. This is not okay. All good. Now let's check it out, what he actually did. But Jesus Christ, this is gonna be fun, I see. He always puts the stuff inside to get me going. Okay, so all he does here is basically as a workflow file where he does an additional test run, where he just calls task test. Let's quickly check what he changed in there. That's the one below. Okay. I mean, it's okay here. No, this is not okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now I know what he meant. What the hell is an API secret doing in unit tests? This is not supposed to ever happen on the planet. So what he actually did was he wrote unit tests. And for the unit tests, he inside, of course, tests a function which needs an API key. And that API key comes from the environment variables. So what he does simply, because he's lazy, I don't know why he did this. Never judge people. It's important. You never know what's really going on in them. And lazy is not nice too. Some people just never did something or so. But he knew what he did. No, what he did here is basically he then just input really the prod API key into the tests, and they run afterwards. And it's kind of, it makes it work, of course. But if you listen to the first testing video, environment variables are side effects. So what you should do is you should mock them away. No keeping them around or using some real keys in tests or anything like it. Like, unit tests means you test a unit and this unit has no connection anymore. Like, everything that connects to the outside, you need to cut it off. So it's a contained unit, a box where nothing is attached. And then you test it. Okay. So I will leave some pleasant messages here. So this is not supposed to happen. I don't even know how to express it. Exploding head. That's a good one. That kind of catches me. You ought to mock the environment variable way. Unit test means to test. Test a standalone unit. He still gets a kiss, just for the sake of the explosion. Okay, this time we start a review also cleanly, so he doesn't get one comment at a time, but all at once. Okay, this is something I see quite common, and people really don't care about it, and I can understand it as long as it never bits you. But what this actually means, no new line at the end of line, is some tools, they will read your file and they will execute line for line for line. But if the file ends at the last line and there's no line break, it can be that they don't execute this last line. Some tools really do that. So you don't want to do that. What you always want to do is add a new line at the last line. So you always make one more. And this is what this red thing means. No new line at the end of line, you know. So while I know that task and the YAML file formatting and all of that is fine, it's still a bad practice. You should not get used to it. So I will punch it out of him. This god. No, all good. So it's leaving a pleasant message. Please add a new line at the end of the file, since some tools don't interpret, or let's make it execute the last line if it ends with EOF, which is end of file. Sounds a bit German, I guess I let out my German a bit. Instead of a new line. So, which is \n for those who don't know it. Okay. That is fine. Here we have the same. Another new line. He gets the eyes for that one. So here we should also check what he did in the task file. It's just some YAML, but for those who don't understand this one here, this here means kind of like here comes the command, and this means he does a multi-line string, but the string actually, these lines you have here, they become one line in the end. So if there's a new line, it's kind of this gets in the rear here. Okay, so that's kind of what this means. If you don't know how YAML works exactly, just read some specs for once. It's really quickly done. YAML is such an easy format. There are a lot of tricks you can do and go fancy, but you don't necessarily need to do that. So do yourself a favor, look stuff like this up. Sometimes this can really help if you have multiple line stuff like this. And I really like how he, how he put it out here, the options. What he could also do is to use the full name of this option. It's always pretty bad if you use an abbreviation like -s. Like, what is -s, you know? Like, --cov, it's pretty obvious it's coverage, you know, something like that, and coverage report and that. But -s, it's always, so if they have long names in these files, use long names. You do me a big favor in the future, and everyone who always looks at it. Never forget there's some insane senior developer coming, and he will smack you so hard in the rear of your head if you don't write readable stuff. Yeah, so better pre-prepared for hard life, you know, if you take on those programming jobs. No, just kidding. But yeah, you know what? You always need to expect a bit some crazy people reading your code and having a lot of anger and problems with their wives and whatever else life throws at them. So it's really good to know, take care and love into these solutions. Then kind of you don't at least get the rage of them. It's a bit like that in life, you know. People need to unload their stuff. And if you come along at the wrong time, Jesus, you better be prepped. So minus S, please write out command line options if you can. Sweet. Maybe we modify it and say, I have no freaking clue what minus S is. Is there an embarrassment? Okay, whatever. We just add some random emojis. It's a video, we don't have time for this. Okay, so here he adds to the PyProject.toml the two dependencies, PyTest, which is okay, PyTest coverage, also good. Coverage is for the coverage report, which basically tells you which lines are covered by the unit tests. Really neat. We had a discussion the last weeks at work too, and we kind of figured out that even though coverage reports, they are pretty nice and they make a hell of an impression if you have them, but they don't tell you necessarily how well tested your code is, just as a little hint. We had solutions I had solutions in the past where you had 30% coverage of the code lines and was very well tested code, you know. But on the other hand, I also had solutions where you have 80, 90%. But, you know, testing the code line doesn't mean that you actually really tested all the options and possibilities of input, you know. You can run over the same line, but with 5 different inputs, and one might fail one specific line. So high coverage doesn't necessarily mean that you tested your code really well. We also sometimes had a tool tested 84, 85% coverage, plugged it into the API and all, and just totally failed because the front end and back end were having communication issues because we did unit tests. So we isolated the units, but they, you know, the talk to the front end didn't go well. I mean, it was in a testing environment, so no worries. But, you know, unit tests and coverage, yeah, they don't necessarily mean something. One good thing I also recommend to you here, I know I talk a lot about this, but this is in between line talk, which you will not get so easily. A good strategy is also to start building your solution, test it to some degree, to some use cases you feel are right. And if more issues come up, you can strengthen your testing where your pain points are in the beginning. And I really like it because by that you don't just test everything and spend a lot of time on that, but you actually go really directed at use cases. And you can also build your testing environment, also a manual testing environment directed at this. So really, really important here. I definitely cannot tell him that in a comment what I just told you, but he can watch my video if he's a very, very nice young man. So here we go. Here's a test file, which he added. So let's see what is actually going on here. He imports from the file. Okay. Oh, yeah. Didn't he make it a module or something? Let me quickly check something. Let's look into his branch, how it looks like. No, he just has the file lying around. If it would be a module, I would have recommended to him a different structure, but since he basically just has it like this, of course. The structure is off. Like if you have a module like a PyProject.toml, you should put these here at least one level down. So you already see I found something beyond the files, but I will not write this anyway here in the code. This will come in the end. Okay. Big structure stuff, never do it here and say this file belongs else or something. Do it in the end in the top comment here. Okay, let's look into this one. Generally, what he does is, okay, he checks it, he fetches it, and he checks if what he gets back has a certain sum. Whatever. It's a good question what he's actually doing here. This is very awkward what he does here. So he computes the difference. Jesus Christ. He gets the coordinates of Berlin. Then he zips them up with these coordinates, which I guess are the coordinates of Berlin. He sums them up. And then he expects that the sum is basically 0 because of it. Like, this is like, wee. Like, you see, I'm an experienced dev, but Jesus Christ, like, if I'm tired, and I'm already a bit tired, it takes me 10 hours to figure stuff like this out. You really don't like make my life easy. So I will definitely leave a comment here. Interesting way to test this. Is there maybe an easier and more transparent way to possibly test this, like checking if something equals something without summing up and other tricks? Okay, I will ask him that, and he needs to figure that one out himself. I mean, I would already know and I could do that, but I also want him to do a little bit of the work here. After all, it's an exercise for him. Yeah, one important thing here is also this fetch locations. I don't think he mocked it. Let me see. Nope, does not look like it. And I'm really not happy about that. Because unit means unit. Chop everything away that's around it. So what he basically really does here, he really fetches from the outside. If you come to me and tell me, okay, let's do integration tests, you know, or system tests or whatever. Okay, no problem. But this is a unit test, obviously. So yeah, you forgot to mock the real API call underneath. Please do that. Otherwise, I cannot run this test without internet. And guess what? Corporate environments often don't have an internet. You would be surprised how often I witnessed in some corporate environments for every, depending on the security layer you're in, where you have to request every URL you trigger. So sometimes then you have a CI/CD pipeline running and you download this one extra package and they say, no, forbidden. And then you need to go to someone and ask and possibly wait half a day or a day until they approve, Jesus Christ, just to get this one package installed so you can run your unit tests. So mock this, everything outside. You don't want anything going in or out. You control it. You must control it to be absolutely certain. Okay. So, but here Manu comes around and he actually mocks a function fetch new data. And he told me about it previously already. We can check. Let's skip maybe below to make it a bit more sense. And here you can see, okay, this is the function he tests basically. Interesting, he changed the return type to float, which is nice, I guess, and makes sense. And here you see the big change. He basically took all of this, which is the API call, and put it into an extra function. And I really like that because what he basically did was he made his testing life a lot easier. Now he has one function in which he does the entire external connection and everything. And here basically what he has is he has one nice function where he has the side effect and he can just mock the data coming out and has an easy life running unit tests. And this is very good practice. Manu, like, I'm so proud of you. I really love you for doing this. Touches me really, really a lot. So this is so good, because otherwise he would have to mock the get function. Then he would get something back like a mock, most likely, which would then again have to have this JSON function mock. Like, this is unnecessary. So happy he did that. Sometimes your kids make you really proud. Okay. I can get really emotional when I see nice stuff. So let's leave a comment. This is so beautiful and smart. What is light bulb? And he gets more kisses. This is definitely worth it. So I really like it. So here we go. Now we have the testing, and what you can see here is basically he did the mock.patch on this fetch new data function, which he introduced newly. And he gets it in here, injected, this mock. What he does then, he simply mocks the return value, and he does it here manually. He actually puts in a lot of data. I'm not even sure if he needs that much data. He could just crop it down to what he really needs, because otherwise you have these unit tests where you have 100 lines, where you have a JSON payload where this one field is inside which you just want and extract. So what the heck, you know? You can make your life easier here and just put into the JSON payload what you extract in the end. This makes everything much, much shorter. Yeah, so this is pretty good otherwise. This is not supposed to happen here. He checks if the environment variable from the secret is around, and if not, then he tries to load it from the .env file, but please remove this. Wait, I need to do it multi-line. Please remove this. And yeah, mock the environment variable. Getter. You can also put it in. Yeah, I think he already has it in a function. So he can just mock the function where he extracts the environment variable, and he has an easy life from then on, you know. So yeah, that is good. Okay, then down here he basically runs the thing, which is fine, I guess. This is the coordinates of Berlin. Some magic numbers into tests is always nice. And okay, two things. Really love this one. This is really nice if you use these mocks up here. As I showed you before, this request mock from this function, he can actually check if it's got called. And this is really helpful, because sometimes you have a function which makes 5 function calls and which should error out in a test in the middle. And then you can check if it really errored out where it should error out, you know? And that is really, really top. Jesus, I need some tea. This is tougher than I imagined. Whew. Okay, so this is good. What is not so good? He basically doesn't really test what this does. He runs it and just, there's no no test, like it checks if the request got called, but this is not what this function really does. Okay, so let's look into this function again. So if we look into this function, what it actually does is it does a lot of magic, and in the end it prints stuff out. This is, and so it doesn't return anything, but it prints it out. And this is what we want to test. Okay. Now it's really beautiful that he didn't do it, because then I can nag about it and you can hopefully remember it. But you can also mock the print function and then see if inside someone tried to print exactly that output which you desired. Okay. This is really, don't forget, printing is also a side effect. It does something to the outside world. It takes a string, puts it out into the console. So this also needs to get mocked away. And then if it's mocked away, you can check what's going on inside. Okay. So I will just drop him a note. It is nice how you call the function here, but you only check that it does not error out, basically. If you really want to know what was done inside, you need to mock the print or standard out, basically, and verify the output message. And verify how the output message would look like with an assert. Yeah, just wanted to specify it a bit more detailed so he can understand it. So far so good. So that is basically mostly it. One more thing. Okay, here, make this. You have two choices. What did he do? He has a docstring, but the docstring is not really complete. So either he has two options. He makes the function more complete, or he hides it by making it an internal function. Because usually it's a bit of common practice if you do it as an internal function. So it starts with an underscore, then usually you don't write docstrings. You have that option. It's totally fine. The linters will kind of eat it like that if you use pylint or something like it. So I just want to let him know that I know he did this on a hurry. My senior knows, you know, he did this on a hurry and he forgot about it. So always get a bit of feeling for how people did stuff, you know. Just if you just look at this, you know, he took this, put it here, and just what the heck, shoved it into this function, and yeah, it's okay if people work like that, you know. That's not the problem. It's not like they're doing something wrong. That's why your job as a reviewer comes in, and to use your perception and feeling to complement them and make them more complete, you know. Because I'm also lazy and I'm also having hard days and I also do a lot of PRs, and then you have this one more PR where you really screw it up in the end or forgot some docstring and stuff. You know, it just happens. We are all human. But that's why we have PR reviews. Okay. So let's go in. Make the function an internal function by starting with an underscore. write a more complete docstring describing the function, including the parameters and return value. Yeah, and also one thing here is, no, he eats the API key. No, that's okay. Sometimes people use in these functions, they get the side effect for getting the API key from the environment variable, something here. I was not certain about it. He could even test the printing here. Actually, I wouldn't do it really. Usually I don't do it if it's not the intention of the function. So if it's not important to you to test the print, don't test the print. Okay, so that is it. Request change, Jesus Christ, most definitely I will request a change here. Mostly good. Glad to see your first shot turned out so well. Better tap him on the back before he runs scared away. Golden rule is, with people, you can recognize that in life. If you push people, which means you come to them and just squeeze them like, you didn't do well. Like, what the heck did you do, man? Like, were you freaking drunk? Like, you know, if you let your ego out and your emotions, what will happen is that they contract. They will hide inside. And you will have a really tough time connecting to them. And connecting to them is the real conflict I usually have. And also when you kind of try to get technical stuff done, let's say you want a person to improve itself because they screwed something up. By smacking them hard, and by hard I don't mean honesty. You can still be honest and say, okay, that didn't turn out well. You know, there's a lot of work still to be done. That's okay. But the way you put it out can also be like an ego, like you judge that person, like you're such a moron or whatsoever, you know. Sometimes my emotions also need to get out in that way, but we have safe channels at work for that, where we're allowed to. Yeah, don't do that. If I smack him now hard with my ego, he will not take my feedback. He will tell other people I'm a sucker and the conflict is not resolved. He will not improve and we will both have a miserable life at work. So it's really important that if you want a person to improve itself, don't necessarily lie to them, just be honest, but be honest in a kind way. A friend of me always, he had a really nice sentence he once said to me, like, you can also kindly say no, okay? And that is kind of the magic is to put out the truth, but put it out in the way that the person doesn't hide in self, and really that the connection is between you and the person, and that the feedback is accepted, and that they're encouraged to take the feedback to grow and to evolve. And by that, both of you will have a much easier life at work. Okay, so I will just let you understand a bit why I write this now. One additional thing is you can rant a bit around and have some fun if you have a good connection with someone. The connection is really the most important thing. So if you are good friends, you know, those friends who always mock each other and, you know, put stuff out and what the hell, you know, give themselves memes and I don't know, at work, you know, play tricks and all of that. Would never do that, of course. You know, then you can go wild. But the moment you lose the connection or something's not going right or whatsoever, search the connection. Make sure the person doesn't hide inside, and you make it easy for them to connect to what you want to transfer to them. Okay, a little bit in between the lines. Yeah, I always like to talk a little bit about what people usually don't tell you. Okay, so mostly good. Glad to see your first shot turned out so well, because it actually didn't, you know. Please mock away the side effects completely. then it generally works for me. This is the library function from GeoPy, I think it was. We will verify that to not look like idiots when we put out this PR. Jesus. One really cool thing is we can just go over here and quickly check. It is GeoPy, perfect. Yeah, because it remembers him. This is the library function from GeoPy, and of course the environment variable get reader. Let's call it like that. Yeah, I think otherwise, do I still see something? Keep it going, man. Let's do a racehorse. And a rabbit, because they're cute. Oh, no. No rabbit, racehorse. Let's do a rocket. Come on. That's the classic. He gets multiple. Choo, choo. Okay. So play a bit like that, and, you know, by printing a message like this in the end, you know, here you get a bit of feedback, which kind of, you know, more work and that stuff. But if someone in the end come like, go for it, man, you know, it just gives them, I don't know, it just gives them a swing to keep it going. And then this is really good. So yeah, always try to connect a bit to the emotions of the other people and work with them, you know. So, Jesus Christ, that was long. I thought this would be a quick one. Yeah, yet another PR. I hoped you enjoyed it. And yeah, keep tuned to our channel if you like the course so far. More material is coming up soon. Yeah, we give our best in the heart and in the mind and drink a lot of tea too. Join our Discord channel again if you have any questions. Also for the newcomers, never forget it's not too late to join or anything like it. The course has a bit of a slower speed intentionally, and we will do one more pause in the future too. So you have a catch-up week too. We intentionally do all of that people can also jump in later and still have a chance. So yeah, use this. And I wish you all the best. In case you are interested in some PR reviews or want to have some opinions, contact us. And yeah, otherwise, see you soon again. Bye bye.